Hello boys and girls. In today's video we're doing something else rather than jailbreaking Xbox original. Today we're doing PlayStation 2. Just some basic information before we start. I will tell you what's here and why we're doing something. So the first thing is this PlayStation 2 is a slim model. Don't remember what kind of revision. It's 7003 model revision, I mean. So it's already as you see modded with a M2 GP688L mod chip. It has some basic DVD drive protection, which means that probably your laser head will not burn out so quickly as it would without it. But anyway, I already changed the laser head because the previous one just died. So I don't know how good is that protection, because it really consists of just 8 Zener diodes, one capacitor and one resistor. But anyway, we will leave that. The only thing we will do, we'll throw out this Modchip, rewire it, and make this PlayStation a bit more better, because with this Modchip you don't have your internal menu, so yeah, that's why I really don't like it. And this is from the first batch of the mod chips for those consoles. That's really old mod chip. So we will see what I will put in, because I have Modbo 4.0 and also I have Modbo 750. I will just quickly think about which one to put on, and then we'll see which will be used for this tutorial. And anyway, yeah, before I start, there's also one more problem which I really don't like about this specific mod chip, is when you're using your component cable, the one which is red, green, blue RGB, you cannot apply a green screen fix. So with this mod chip, your screen is tinted with some kind of greenish color, and you just cannot change it in any possible way. I tried to remove some wires and it's still greenish, so yeah, I don't like it. And that's why this is the main actually reason why we're swapping to Modbo. Okay guys, so let's start. I will start to desolder the wires, and yeah, if I will have something to say about the wiring, then I'll just pause the video and tell you something about it. Let's go guys. So we're starting to desolder the wires, and what I wanted to tell you is that you can definitely repurpose those wires, so there's no need to throw them out. For example, if your console is already modded, so in my case it was modded, and it's modded quite nicely. They used nice wires, but I just don't like the chip. So you can definitely repurpose them, which I will also do. Okay, let's remove some stickers before. And yeah, sometimes with some mod chips you can use the same wiring, sometimes not. So in my case I cannot use the same wires, so I have to remove them like so. It's quite hard to show you on camera what I'm doing and desolder everything. I will try to do my best. Be careful with those tiny solder points, because they're quite fragile and you might damage them while desoldering some stuff. So just do a quick desolder and that's it. Don't leave your soldering iron too long on those pads. Or for example, okay, come on. Probably I will apply some flux because that pad holds too well. Sometimes really you need to apply the flux, sometimes not, depends. I don't like, there's some kind of solder joint or something, really cannot see. Yeah, now it's clean. Yeah, be careful with solder joints, because if you made a mistake then you will be ripping your hair off your head thinking where that solder joint is. Actually, I really like how the guy who put the Modchip in is doing his job. It's not too often that I can say that I like the soldering of other guys, but this one is definitely the case. I have to admit that the guy did a great job here. It's almost a shame to desolder everything. Okay, so we finished with the majority of wires. Now we're left only with those few. Yeah, here. Yep. This one. Solder splashes around. Yeah, also be careful with the solder splashes as well as with the solder joints, because when that solder splash appears somewhere, you might also bridge something, which is not nice. If you see solder splashes, the better tactic to use is to use or the flux or some soldering wick just to desolder that excess of soldering. Okay, at this point I'll apply a bit of flux and make it really nice. Yep, like so. Now it's perfect. Okay, so at this point we're ready to remove the Modchip. Like so. Nice sticky tape, probably it's original, but anyway, yeah. So here we have our Modchip desoldered, which was quite fast, you know, because desoldering is not soldering. Takes a little while. Okay, and now see you in a second with my decision of Modchip, which one to use. So I've decided to go with Modbo 4.0 chip because this chip works with the motherboard revisions, as I remember, from V5 to V13 or so. Maybe I'm wrong, but anyway, this board is V12, like version 12. You can say it looking at those numbers right here. It's GH03541, and I will leave the description of those motherboards under the video, so you can find them and determine which motherboard revision you have. So for this revision, it's just one of the first ones, motherboard revisions, which had a full PlayStation 1 backwards compatibility. And yeah, so this Modchip is just fine, but the Modbo 750, it's more, I decided to leave it because it may be used for all motherboards, so not only starting from version 5. So that's why I will go with Modbo 4 down here. So what I did, also I desoldered all the wires because I want to do a clean soldering. So I reapplied the solder on all the pads, used flux because those pads could be quite old, so be careful with those. And I also applied double-sided sticky tape on the back because the original one was already dead, it won't stick to anything. I'm using this kind of double-sided tape, I ordered it from AliExpress. It was around 5 or 6 euros, but it's a lot of the tape, so I will probably use it until the end of my life, maybe. So yeah, anyway, now that we applied the double-sided tape, I will just take off the protection layer like so, and I will position it somewhere here on this chip. Probably I'll go somewhere like this. Be careful not to close the screw holes. Yes, something like so. It will hold even better with the time. Yeah, so, and what I wanted to say to you is that you want to position the chip in this direction, that your 3.3 volt line, ground and reset is facing the USB ports, because for example you can use the ground point on one of those USB terminals or here or wherever. Ground is common, so 3.3 volts will go right here to this side, so you will need very short wires for the power supply to the Modchip, and in my opinion it's the best way how to position your Modchip. And now what we'll do, we'll start adding some wires, and yeah, I hope we will succeed in modding this console. So now I will take one of the wires, which I salvaged from the previous Modchip, or I also salvaged some from this Modchip. This was actually mine. I took it off from one of the broken consoles. I will use this thin MGTF wire. What I like normally to do is I put a bit of solder on those wires, so I pre-solder them, and then I solder it. Sorry, my soldering iron is heating up. Yep. Then I'll do a quick solder. I don't like how it looks. I will apply a bit of flux, like so. And yeah, now it's really nice and shiny. So at this point, what we need to do is yeah, so we need to route this wire here, like so, and I'll cut it somewhere here. So it's really short wire, and with this MGTF wire, what I like to do is apply a bit of heat, like with your lighter or so, just to burn the tip of the isolation. After, you do a quick tinning on that spot. Be sure to clean your tip. Apply a bit of flux here, and put just a bit of solder right here. Quite hard to get solder stick to it, but we managed. So now we grab our wire, use our okay, so use our tweezers, manipulate the wire so it goes where you want it to go, and do a solder. And this is our 3.3 walt line. Okay, so next is the ground point. I wonder which should I use. Probably I will go somewhere here. It will not be the cleanest, like not the cleanest I mean, but not the most beautiful wire routing, but it will definitely be working. So put in your wire, take your ground point, like so. Normally in this case I would like to go with somewhere under the positive 3.3 volt line, just to be a little bit more clean, like so. And we were routed down here to this part, so probably I will just cut it somewhere here. Yep. Now again, remove the shield of the wire. Again, a bit of thinning. And now you want to set your soldering iron somewhere around 320-340 degrees, because this pad right here, it will act as a heat sink for your soldering iron. So you want your soldering iron to be quite hot in this place. Otherwise, you'll face problems that your soldering iron will just stick to your solder at this point. And I definitely see this problem with 330 degrees, so I'll put something like 360. Let's check it out. 360 works flawlessly, so 360 for me. And actually I think the wire is a bit too long. Yeah, I will cut it a bit shorter just to do it more clean. I need to cut it somewhere down here. Yeah, like it's too long. Okay, we have, yeah, but now it's okay. Good. Burn isolation. And put in the wire. Yep, now it looks pretty nice. Okay, so now that we have our 3.3 and ground point soldered, I will do rest of the soldering on the fast forward, but I will put the picture of the diagram I'm using down in the description tab, and if I will face some problems or I will need to tell something specific about the soldering, I will pause the video and I will do it. So let's do it in a more quickly way. off those pads and also damage something. So here for a while I will use soldering tape just to hold the wires together, but after I finish wire routing I will use just a bit of hot glue to keep them nice and steady, like so. Okay, so we finished our points A. Yeah, so we finished our points like A, E, H, G, and B. Our reset point, ground, and 3.3 volt line. So we have quite a bit of soldering still left. Let's go and do that. So guys, for this specific point I did it wrong, so I'm saying to you how to do it right. I like to route the wire. It's Y soldering point. In the beginning just do a soldering right here, not here. So when you solder it, then you route the wire back to the chip. Otherwise it's a bit hard to solder this point if you want to leave your wire as short as possible. So it's better to start from here and end on the side of the chip. Also be very careful with SX point, because it's this tiny capacitor down here and it's really tiny, so be careful with it, otherwise you may solder something together. So for that reason be very careful. Or you can solder that wire too, but I decided to go the hard way, and yeah, it's a pain in the ass if you don't want to solder everything together. So that's why in this case it's better to go from the side of that point, SX point. And yeah, really, so be very careful with that point. That point is really small. I will attach picture, which you probably see right now, how I managed to solder it. And also one small note, that when I started to solder there, I saw some kind of residues coming off from that point, and I was thinking that I managed to rip off some trace, but it wasn't the case, because the previous owner was using some kind of, I don't know what he was actually using, what kind of soldering paste or what, but he managed to leave it all around here, and when I started to solder, that previous thing he used from before started to fall off, and I accidentally started to think that it's my fault already, but no, hopefully I washed the point with isopropyl alcohol, and it was okay. There. Where's my nice and shiny solder ball? Like so. I really like when soldering looks nice. Otherwise, if you leave a tons of mess on the board, it doesn't look too nice though. Okay, so continue to solder. So for those of you who are watching this video, don't make my mistake, and I suggest you, before you start soldering these parts, starting from part Q, before you do those lines, and if you're doing the same manner as I do, not from that side but from this side, solder the W first, because it goes right there. It's not a problem for me to solder it, even though all like the previous wires are in place, but for you it will be much easier if you do it before. It's just a quick advice, because a lot of guys have a lot of different skills of soldering, so probably it could be easy for you. Easier, I mean, not easy. PlayStation 2 soldering is not that easy as it seems to be. Okay, now I want to check the solder points. I'm really interested in those two. Those points are R and V. I'll just quickly check them with my multimeter. If they're okay, then they're okay. If not, then after solder, and it seems they're okay. Yeah, they are okay. So nothing wrong with them. They're not bridged. Okay, so at this point, everything seems to be fine. Just need to do a bit of cleaning. Remember, I'm using isopropyl alcohol for this purpose, and a toothbrush. Just don't be too hard with your toothbrush. Remember, you're not cleaning your teeth, you're cleaning your pads, and even though if you successfully manage to solder everything, at this point you may rip something off, so don't brush too hard. Okay, so after some basic cleaning is done, I will apply a bit of tape on my wires before I hot glue them, just to do a quick check if everything is working correctly. Just never apply something like hot glue or heat shrinks or whatever until you're not 100% sure that you did a great job. Otherwise you may be a bit surprised, or maybe I will even leave the wires like that, because hot glue is quite hard to remove without ripping something off. So because yeah, this one holds the wires pretty nice in place. Okay guys, so I will just put it back together just a bit to check how it works, and I will see you in a couple of seconds. Flip the board over, and we're ready to turn on. I connected the power supply, the video cable, and let's see what happens. And you can see the Matrix logo is on, so that means that all the soldering is correct and our job here is done. Now I'll assemble the console and see how it spins the written discs, and yeah, probably that will be it. But before I do that, I will tell you that in the end of this video you will find out all the pictures of my soldering, as well as the schematics of the chip for this console. So don't switch off to another video. Guys, I did assemble the console back how it was. Now let's try to turn it on and enter the glitch chip. Sorry, not glitch. It's not an Xbox, so just chip menu. With the Matrix chips, you push and hold circle and triangle, and then you turn on your PS2. Keep holding your buttons, and then you enter your menu. So here you have a variety of options you can choose of. So for me the most important was green fix. Everything else is just based on your preference. But later on, my next videos probably will speak more about options we have here. but for now just push start and settings are saved. So now unfortunately this Chinese laser which I switched is quite picky. It doesn't pick up my DVD copies, the copies of my original games, so I have to burn new CDs, but I don't have them at the moment. But for now we will try to test the PS2 on this copy of Resident Evil 2 from PlayStation 1. I know it's a rubbish CD, never use those, please, never use those, they will kill your laser head instantly probably. The best choice you can do is verbatim discs. So yeah, but anyway, for the testing purposes, let's close the lid, hit reset button, it boots up quite slowly because it's PlayStation 1 on disc on rubbish CD, so please be patient. Yay, PlayStation logo. Yeah, PlayStation sometimes spins those discs quite interesting, but as I said, it's just for testing purposes. And also my PS2 is now hooked up with a component cable. I still have my original AV cable, but normally I don't use it because the picture of the video output you're getting out of it is quite rubbish. So yeah, and as you can see, PlayStation 2 is modded, so my job here is done. This house is now clean from the evil. Okay guys, so thanks for watching, see you in my next videos. I hope you enjoy the content I'm making, so please think about subscribing and hitting that bell button so you always know when new videos will come out. And yeah, bye, peace out.